My name is Alicia D. Ramirez, and I am 29 years old. She laughed. Not nervous laughter, not embarrassed laughter, but the kind that carries confidence and contempt at the same time. You think you're the only woman I'm seeing. Grow up. I'm sitting here now watching my phone light up with notifications while my now ex-boyfriend is probably having the worst day of his life. And honestly, he brought it on himself. 2 weeks ago, my entire understanding of my relationship collapsed in a single night. I'd been with Marcus for about 14 months. I thought we were solid. He worked in medical device sales, traveled a lot, worked strange hours. I was a data analyst, predictable schedule, predictable routines. We didn't live together, but most weekends were spent at one of our places. Looking back, the red flags were obvious. Work emergencies on Saturday nights. His phone always face down. Separate social media accounts, he said, were for professional networking that I wasn't connected to. But I trusted him. I told myself that was maturity, not blindness. 2 weeks ago, everything unraveled. I was at a sports bar with my friend Colton watching the game. The place was packed, loud, the kind of chaos where you feel anonymous even when you're surrounded. That's when I noticed a couple in a booth across the room. The woman's hair caught my eye first, the same cut Marcus liked to run his fingers through. Then the jacket, the exact one I bought him for Christmas. I actually laughed at myself for a second. No way. He was supposed to be at a regional sales meeting at a hotel conference center. Mandatory attendance. That's what he said. Then she turned her head and kissed him. My brain stalled, completely froze. Colton noticed my expression, followed my gaze, and said, "Alicia, isn't that—" Yeah, it was Marcus, and he wasn't discussing quarterly targets. I wanted to confront them immediately, but something stopped me. Maybe shock, maybe instinct. Instead, I took out my phone, zoomed in, and recorded a video. Clear, undeniable. Marcus and a woman I'd never seen before, wrapped around each other like they didn't have a care in the world. They left before I could decide what to do. I stayed, finished my drink, and went home with my thoughts spiraling. That's when I did something I'd never done before. I went full detective. I searched social media, found his professional Instagram through a tagged coworker photo, and there it was. Photos of him and another woman, Lily, according to the tags. Beach trips, dinner dates. One from 3 weeks ago captioned, 8 months with my love. 8 months. The overlap with my relationship was 6. He'd been dating both of us for half a year. I kept scrolling, found photos of them from before Marcus and I met, which meant at some point I'd been the other woman. Or maybe we both were. My stomach turned cold. I spent the next 3 days gathering evidence like I was building a case. Screenshots, our text history, his shared Google Calendar we used to coordinate dates. He'd insisted on it for organization, color-coded, blue for work, green for us, yellow for personal appointments. When I cross-referenced everything, the pattern was undeniable. Alternating weekends, late meetings that lined up with Lily's Instagram posts, early morning meetings after nights he stayed at his place because he was too tired to come over. Then yesterday happened. Marcus came over after work. Now I wonder if he'd actually been with her. He was scrolling his phone, smiling, completely relaxed. I couldn't hold it anymore. I asked how the quarterly meeting went. He said boring, sales targets, new products. I asked which hotel it was at again. He didn't even look up. Downtown Conference Center. I said, funny. I saw you at Murphy's sports bar that night. The silence was immediate. He looked up slowly, calculation flickering behind his eyes. You were spying on me. I said I was watching the game. You were kissing another woman named Lily. I expected denial. Tears. Apologies. Something human. Instead, he laughed. You think you're the only woman I'm seeing. Grow up, Alicia. The cruelty of it stunned me. We're exclusive, I said. He rolled his eyes. You assumed. I never promised anything. God, women are so possessive. I said, you've been dating her for 8 months and me for 14, so you're cheating on both of us. He shrugged. It's not cheating if you're not married. I'm a modern man. I can date whoever I want. If you can't handle that, that's your insecurity. The gaslighting was unreal. Does she know about me? I asked. Of course not. She's way more traditional than you, so you're lying to her too. I'm managing my relationships how I see fit. You were both happy, weren't you? Or you were until you got all stalkery. Get out, he said. Get out of my apartment. We're done. Then he added, your loss. Lily treats me way better anyway. Actual five-star restaurants, not your pathetic sports bar dates. After he left, I sat there for an hour. Then I had an idea. A terrible, beautiful idea. I texted him, you're right, I should grow up. He replied with a laughing emoji and said, finally coming to your senses. I opened our shared calendar, created a new event titled for Lily, Please Read, scheduled it every day for the next month. In the description, I laid out the truth. Then I shared the entire calendar with the email listed on her business profile. Transparency, I typed, is very adult, don't you think? And that's when the phone started ringing. I didn't respond to Marcus after I sent the calendar. I didn't need to. 45 minutes later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered because at that point, there was nothing left to protect. Is this Alicia? The woman asked. Her voice was steady but thin, like it was holding itself together by habit. Yes, I said. This is Lily. I need to know if this is real. I told her it was. I told her to cross-reference any date in the calendar with when Marcus told her he was working late or traveling. There was a long silence, the kind that stretches because someone is scrolling and recognizing their own life in a pattern they didn't know existed. She started listing things out loud, almost to herself. The conference in March, he said Miami. He was at my place. We watched movies and ordered Thai food. My cousin's wedding in May. Your calendar says green. He told me he had a company dinner. Her breathing got heavier. I told her I had photos if she needed them. She said she believed me. I was going to propose next month, she said quietly. The words landed hard, even though I wasn't the one losing a future in that exact moment. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. Thank you for telling me, she replied. I need to call him. We hung up, and within minutes, my phone lit up like it was on fire. Marcus called 23 times in 30 minutes. Texts flooded in so fast, I couldn't read them in order. What did you do? You're insane. Answer your phone. You ruined everything. I'll ruin your life. You don't know who you're messing with. Then the tone shifted. Lily dumped me. Are you happy now? You destroyed a beautiful relationship. He was the one. I hate you. The lack of self-awareness was stunning. He'd destroyed 2 relationships, but somehow it was my fault for exposing the truth. I blocked him on everything except email. I wanted a paper trail if he escalated. Lily texted once more. Thank you for having the courage to tell me. I replied that we both dodged something worse. She agreed. For a moment, there was quiet. Then the smear campaign began. Marcus started telling mutual friends that we were never exclusive and that I was a possessive stalker who sabotaged his healthy dating life. The problem with that story was evidence. I had screenshots of texts where he explicitly called me his one and only, told me he loved me, talked about moving in together. I sent those screenshots to anyone who asked. Most people saw through him immediately. A few stayed silent. I learned a lot about who liked drama more than truth. Then I started adding things up. Designer dinners, weekend trips, gifts. I paid for a lot, assuming we were building something together. Lily reached out to compare notes. Between the 2 of us, he'd been running a quiet pyramid of affection. Over 14 months, I'd spent close to $8,000. Lily was in for more than 12. He'd been double-dipping everything. That's when something else clicked. Those work trips. Some were real, some weren't. He collected per diem and reimbursements while being with one of us. How did I know? Because he'd posted conference photos geotagged at restaurants with me or beaches with Lily. Lily wanted to report him to his company. I told her to wait. Not because he didn't deserve consequences, but because I wanted to be precise. Then came the lawyer email, or what he called a lawyer email, a template demanding I cease and desist sharing private information and remove the calendar, threatening to sue for emotional distress and defamation. I forwarded it to my cousin, who is an actual attorney. He laughed. Truth is an absolute defense, he wrote back, and a shared calendar has no expectation of privacy. He drafted a response so clean it felt like closure in legal form. Marcus wasn't done. Thursday night, he showed up at my apartment with his friend Gemma, banging on the door. Open up, he yelled. We need to talk. I told him to leave. He said I owed him a conversation. I told him I owed him nothing. They stayed for 20 minutes, alternating between insults and demands. I recorded the whole thing through the door and finally called building security. They were escorted out, still shouting. Friday morning, he escalated online. Instagram stories about surviving toxic relationships and narcissistic abuse, not naming me, but tagging everyone we knew. The comments didn't go how he hoped. A coworker asked which boyfriend that was about. Another friend wrote, "Transparency isn't abuse." The stories disappeared within hours. By Saturday, he tried a new tactic. He waited for me in the gym parking lot. "We need closure," he said. I told him we had it. He said I ruined everything. I said he did. He tried to slap me. I stepped back, got in my car, and drove away while he screamed into the empty lot. That was when I realized this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about control slipping, and what he was willing to do when it did. Monday morning, my manager called me into his office, and for a split second, my stomach dropped, even though I knew I'd done nothing wrong. He said someone had sent an anonymous email to HR claiming I was harassing a former partner and creating a hostile work environment by spreading intimate details about my personal life. I told him the truth calmly, that my relationship ended, that I had never discussed it at work beyond two close coworkers asking if I was okay. He nodded, said it didn't match anything they'd seen from me, and closed it with a note in case of escalation. Marcus had officially crossed into retaliation. That afternoon, 3 different friends tried to set up a group dinner, each time presenting it like a coincidence. When I asked directly if Marcus would be there, the answers got vague. One finally admitted he was offering to pay for everyone's meal if I showed up. I declined. I wasn't going to be bought into a confrontation he could control. Lily texted me a heads up. "He's been calling my mom." Her mom. Crying, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that I'd manipulated him out of jealousy. Lily's mother, apparently a legend, told him there was no misunderstanding when someone dates 2 women simultaneously for months and asked him not to call again. The desperation was escalating. Thursday was the night that changed the tone completely. I came home from work and found Marcus sitting on my couch like he belonged there, drinking my wine, acting calm. He told me maintenance let him in after he said he was my boyfriend and locked himself out. My hands shook, but my voice didn't. I told him to leave. He refused. He said he just wanted to explain. I told him he was trespassing. He smiled and said it wasn't breaking in if they let him in. Then he threatened to tell the police we had a domestic dispute if I called them. That's when I realized how far he was willing to go. I reminded him there was a camera in my living room now, legal in my state. He went pale. I told him to leave or I would call the police. He tried one last move, stepping closer, saying the memories were real, that I was his exciting option while Lily was his stable plan. He actually said it out loud. I told him to get out. When he didn't, I called 911 and said there was an intruder refusing to leave. He grabbed his bag and ran. The police arrived, took a report, and advised me to file for a restraining order if he contacted me again. I did. The next morning, I woke up to 82 texts from random numbers. Marcus had posted my phone number on sketchy dating sites with a caption about discreet fun. I changed my number and added it to the restraining order file. Then the universe delivered a strange kind of symmetry. Lily forwarded me a screenshot from a dating app. Marcus had already created a profile, recently single after a toxic relationship, looking for a real woman who respects independent men. Lily reported it with screenshots of his overlapping timelines. The profile was removed within hours. He was burning bridges faster than he could build new ones. And then the last pillar collapsed. Lily told me she'd reported him to his company for expense fraud. She'd sent HR the geotagged photos and expense reports that proved he'd collected per diem while staying with one of us. He was suspended pending investigation, then fired, then sued for reimbursement. Losing the job triggered everything else. The company car, the income, the apartment he couldn't afford anymore. Within 2 weeks, he was moving back in with his parents. He tried one final manipulation through his friend Gemma, saying he was in the hospital and I should know. For an hour, I felt guilty. Then a friend sent me a screenshot of his Instagram story, perfectly groomed in a hospital bed captioned with motivational quotes about queens rising. He was fine. It was theater. The restraining order was approved after I submitted the break-in video, the harassment logs, the fake lawyer letter, the HR complaint, and the dating site incident. 6 months of no contact. Silence felt like oxygen. 2 weeks after the restraining order went through, I ran into Lily at a coffee shop. It was awkward in that way only shared trauma can be, but we sat down anyway. We weren't friends exactly, but we were the only two people who fully understood what the other had lived through. We compared notes one last time, timelines, messages, nights when he texted both of us, "Good night, baby," minutes apart, days when he had lunch with her and dinner with me, telling both of us about his exhausting work schedule. Lily said something that stuck with me. The person I loved didn't exist. He was playing a character depending on who he was with. I nodded, because that realization hurt more than the cheating itself. Life settled into something quieter after that. Marcus faded from my days in practical ways. He stopped being a notification, stopped being a threat, stopped being a constant calculation. I focused on myself, my routines, my work. I took a break from dating entirely, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to remember what my own peace felt like without anyone else interrupting it. Lily started therapy to work through the trust damage. We checked in once, agreed neither of us owed him forgiveness or closure. A mutual friend showed me Marcus's LinkedIn a few weeks later. He'd updated his job to retail sales, framing it as exploring new opportunities in customer relations. His Instagram had gone private, but apparently it was full of motivational quotes about rising above negativity and cutting toxic people out of your life. Still no acknowledgement. Still the victim in his own story. When someone asked me if I felt bad about how everything turned out, I surprised myself by answering honestly, no. He had 2 women who genuinely cared about him. Instead of choosing one or being honest about wanting something different, he chose lies and entitlement. The fallout wasn't cruelty, it was consequence. The shared calendar still sits in Lily's email, not as revenge, as record. Proof that gaslighting loses its power when facts are allowed to exist. Marcus wanted to have everything without accountability. He wanted options without honesty. In the end, he lost both. No relationship, no job, no apartment, no access to me. That wasn't because I destroyed his life. It was because I stopped protecting a lie that only benefited him. These days, I sleep better. I trust my instincts more. I don't second-guess red flags or talk myself into patience that feels like self-betrayal. When people ask how I handled it so calmly, I tell them the truth. I didn't handle it calmly at first. I handled it clearly. And clarity is dangerous to people who rely on confusion to get away with things. Marcus is no longer my problem. He's not Lily's either. He's living with his parents, facing lawsuits, working a job he once would have mocked, and carrying a restraining order that says more about his behavior than anything I could ever explain. I didn't win anything. I didn't need to. I just stopped losing myself to someone who never respected me. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't revenge or forgiveness. It's transparency. It's stepping aside and letting someone face exactly what they built. He wanted to juggle 2 lives, dropped them both, and I walked away with my dignity intact, my future open, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that the truth doesn't need drama to be devastating.